Ready. I'll open up this meeting of the Maynard Planning Board. Today's date is December 9th, 2025, and the time is 7:04 p.m. This meeting is being held in hybrid format, which means members of the public, applicants or board members can attend the meeting here locally at Town Hall or join through the Zoom link. Please note this meeting is being recorded. Bill Nemser, I think we can turn to item 2 and reopen the continued hearing for 151 Main Street. You want to give the board an update and then we'll turn it back over to the applicants.
Yes, this is a continuation of the hearing we started on as well. The applicant has been working diligently, as I forwarded you all the updates, I believe. We've received comments from DPW, from design. Everybody's satisfied there. We have outstanding comments with the engineering peer reviewer, Jim Thorne from Green Engineering, who's on the call tonight. I have also provided each of you with a list of the comments and Mr. Hall's responses to the comments. I also could pull it up on the screen if you like as well. And Mr. Hall has a revised, slightly revised presentation. And I'm not sure exactly what order, how you'd like to go, or if there's anything special before I turn it over to the applicant.
Thanks for joining tonight again. Can you just introduce your team for the record?
Sure, I'm Matt Hall. I'm the owner of the property and I operate a business called MattWorks LLC. To my left is Jonathan McPhee, partner at Studio Troika. And online we have Dan Carr from Stamsky McNary, Brooke Cash from Lemonbrook Landscape Architects, and Jordan from Studio Troika.
Do you want to start with an updated presentation or do you want to talk about this design comments first?
So we've really just been working with the peer review comments and with Bill and OMS just to revise the plans based on feedback. So we could either, I could have each consultant present the changes we've made, or if you wanted to ask questions, we can show the responses, however you'd like to do.
I think we could do that with the presentation. I think that would help.
Okay.
And then, but to be clear, I do want to make sure that we are able to close out comments completely. And we should, Bill, do you think we're going to be able to close the meeting tonight with required information and closing up peer review comments, or do you think there's a continuation here?
My gut feelings, we could close it out, but we have to go through Jim's comments because he hasn't had an opportunity to provide them. I think that if we have a little bit of discussion, it'll be pretty clear. But most of the oh, just one other thing that I should update the board on. You asked about the little sliver of land that is public property that is in between the wall and the wall of the rail bike path, and the property line. That's being worked out right now with the attorneys. I don't see any problem there. There was a question that DPW had regarding what the improvements would be, and it's just limited to stone on there. So that would be worked out. I don't see that being any reason to delay anything.
Okay.
I think the only issue with the attorneys is the time for the license agreement to roll into a permanent easement. And it's a question of how long it will take to get through the town meeting.
Understood.
So what they suggested for that was that the paperwork that was going back and forth with the license is what they're calling it, I think, would terminate either on, I think there's a time limit that I'm not sure if they've agreed on yet, or at the acceptance of town meeting. So, but it seems to be smooth on that.
Understood. Okay.
Would you like to start your presentation? Or do you want to do it, Matt?
Yes,
Yeah.
I could share.
Start with the civil, which is where most of the Green's comments are. So we'll start there.
Okay, so, all right, and.
And Jordan's got the whole thing, he can share it.
Oh, I can do it.
Or
Or multiple, it's multiple, yeah, okay, so. Let's see. It looks like he has them, great.
Bill, would you mind just closing the participant?
That's right.
Can you close up the participant list on the right side, just so we can get the screen wider?
Okay,
Thanks.
and let's make sure, am I sharing? Okay, sharing. And yeah, okay, sure, and then there's right.
All right. I think we're set to go. Jordan, if you could go to sheet 3 of the next sheet. Great, yeah. So I'm just going to go through some of the changes that were in that review letter from Green. We've made some drafting changes to the plan. We've added some hatches to clearly define which area is what type of surface. So the parking area is going to be hot mix asphalt. There are some pathways from the parking area to the building that are going to be pavers. And then behind the building, we're going to have that crushed stone with fabric. I mean, we've added a detail for that too. So we're going to line the foundation side of that crushed stone with impermeable barrier just to prevent any water infiltration on that side of the building. And then there's the proposed patio with a seat wall off the left side of the building there, and that'll be the paver material as well. And then the entire sidewalk along the frontage of this property is going to be cement concrete, and that will be removed and replaced with a new sidewalk per the town's, the DPW requirement. Another comment from Green was to replace, we had proposed a Cape Cod berm on one side of the parking area. We're now proposing all curbing as granite, vertical granite curbing. There is an existing curb cut along the eastern edge of the property that is used for an existing garage at that building there. So we're just proposing to move that curb cut over to the end of the frontage there. So we're closing off a little bit of that curb cut there, but leaving the rest open, of course, for the neighbor. A turning detail was provided for a car pulling into the parking lot via a right-hand turn. And I do want to mention we use the auto turn software, and that's on the next sheet, Jordan, if you could show that. In the the next one.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, so we use an auto turn software which simulates a turning passenger vehicle into the parking lot. And I do want to mention that the auto turn software is very conservative. We show here it requiring a little bit of a 3-point turn to get into the parking space, but I'm pretty confident that an average driver would be able to get in there pretty smoothly as opposed to having to back up. So we provided that. There's a question about snow storage. Snow will be stored in the newly introduced green spaces that we're proposing on the property. And anything that doesn't fit in those newly introduced green spaces will have to be removed from the site. There was a question about handicap parking spaces, and we are of the opinion that they're not required. In Maynard zoning bylaw, a handicap parking space is required once the total number of spaces reach 6 in a parking lot. And the Architectural Access Board says that a handicap space is needed once up. There are 15 total spaces, and this parking lot only has 5 spaces. We corrected a couple of the sewer main and water main details. We are labeling the sewer manhole on site, the existing one, to be removed from the site during construction. We added some spot grades along the rear of the building to show that we can get a 1% slope from left to right when you're looking at the plan. So for any runoff that's in that area, even though it's a stone trench, which will infiltrate most of the runoff, if there was ever a large storm event, we wouldn't see any puddling in that area. We added an erosion control barrier along the eastern side of the property at the request of the review. And there was a question about total square footage of disturbance on site. There's less than 10,000 square feet, since the law is only 7,500 square feet or so. So we don't meet that threshold for stormwater. And let's see. I believe that covers all the changes on civil. If you have any questions, let me know. If we just want to move on to landscape.
Any questions from both? No questions. People continue.
Great.
So if you could go to the next page, Jordan, the colored one, I think is more exciting to look at. Our comments or our changes were really in response to the tree committee and to Concom, not just our comments that you all had in particular. So there was interest in changing the larger shrub that we had at the northeast corner into a canopy tree. So we've done that, changed that to sourwood. This is actually the wrong sheet. This is
Ooh.
not the updated version. I'm sorry.
Okay, I apologize. Let me make sure I get that from. Bear with me for 1 minute. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, I noticed that one didn't bear the changes.
Uh-oh. Apologize.
So we made some species comments, change outs related to their comments. There was interested in getting rid of red maples, which they feel like are overplanted in town, staying with native species. They had some suggestions of particular, thank you, that's the correct sheet. Frequently planted species. So the overall design plan remains unchanged, but we did do some species swap out to satisfy the concerns of those other two committees. We are not proposing irrigation. There'll be gator bags, which are the green watering bags, trees for establishment. And part of the installation contract will include watering for the landscape contractor filling those gator bags for the first season. And then there'll be a provision for supplemental watering for that first season for establishment to get everything going. Things that have been specified here are, pretty tough and significant once they are established in this climate. That was why they were selected for these sites. And then there was a landscape maintenance plan requested, and we have submitted that as well. That addresses all the landscape items. And the one other thing was on the eastern property edge, there was comment that the planting alone would not provide a sufficient buffer there, since there are ornamental grasses that will come down seasonally. And there is a 6-foot fence proposed along the property line to the neighbor's side of the plant. I think that hits the items that were on landscape, short of trash and lighting, which I believe lighting was something, Jordan, you were following. I can just note quickly, the decision was made to change from the trash tote first, for lack of a better word, to a typical fenced enclosure. Just due to, several concerns that were raised with the tote locker strategy. Matt, I don't know, add anything to that comment. But otherwise, Jordan, do you want to talk about the lighting pieces, and then that will sort of wrap up through the end of the list of comments from Jim?
Yeah, I actually think, Matt, sorry to put you on the spot, but if you think you have the most information on the lighting, if you don't mind touching on that.
I don't think we have entirely clarified the lighting. Like quantifiably, so our proposal exceeded the guideline limits. And I know that you're looking for more light above the guidelines, but we're not clear on how much more light. And we did submit the fixtures that were used in our plan, which are all pretty subdued, cutoff fixtures that do have light spillage, but it's not an over amount of spillage.
So we're speaking about the sidewalk, right?
Sidewalk, and also I think we had a conversation about the rail trail side,
Right.
which we have just a kind of a minimum 3 wall washer units, just so it's not black back there, but not so it's putting so much light into the abutters or onto the rail trail itself.
Can we just show what those light fixtures are so that it's entered into the record?
I can, they got something.
If it's possible.
Yeah, so that's the plan with foot candles, which is hard to decipher, but the fixtures I think we submitted. I'm not sure if Bill has access to them here.
I do. If they're in the package, I do.
Before we can focus on this first.
What they want, yeah. I can pull it up when you want.
Sorry, who's driving the bus on this shared
Right
street?
now, it's me right at the moment. I don't have the fixtures themselves, so I can stop sharing if that helps.
No, that's okay, we'll do that after.
Okay,
Is that-
so I can jump to architectural then.
Jordan, would you mind just zooming in really close on
Yes.
on the southern side, the sidewalk side first?
Oh, jeez, excuse me. Apologize.
So.
I know, I still.
So he's got, along the side here, 6.4 foot candles here, 7.5.
Yeah.
5, sort of right along the sidewalk here, it drops off, down on 0.1, out here. But in there along where there's a recessed fixture of the building, he's even at 8.1, so anywhere between, I'll say 6 and 8, but thereabouts. Okay, so it looks like on there.
Yeah, it looks like beyond the curve, it's all below, 0.5 or below.
Exactly, you can see how the color changed to blue even, just a reference.
And then on the north side, what are we looking at here?
Same thing, near a fixture, well, different quantities, but 3.5, 3.4, 3 and 2.7 here, so a 3 ballpark. Foot candle near the fixture, and then as it gets to the path, same thing, it diminishes down to a 0.3, 0.2 along the path itself.
What's it on the road?
On the road here.
On the other road?
Up top, yeah, it goes to 0 to blue, again, it goes to kind of nothing,
Okay.
so 0.1 on the far edge of the rail trail, looks like.
I wonder if it would even be less than that with the rail trail fence and the cars that are parked before you even get to the traffic aisle for Railroad Street.
Are you thinking that's more or less than you would want on their bill?
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay,
More than enough.
This is a good place. I know Jim had some input too, Jim Thorne. Do you Do you have any feedback on what's being currently presented, Jim?
Yeah, so, um, just to state the regs, dark sky compliance recommends 5 foot candles for sidewalks. So, in terms of the southern side, it's pretty close to 5. It's a little bit over in some areas, but it's okay. And then on the north side, if you treat the path as a sidewalk, that's all below 5. When light trespasses the property line into residential property, you don't want it more than I think it's um, 0.05. So it's got to be really low to cross into residential properties. So that's what we're talking about. So the properties that are across the street to the north, which it looks like most likely those would all be 0. And then light trespass going to business properties, which I think the only business property is to the right, which is the pizza shop. And it looks like that building doesn't actually have any windows on that side of the building. So that they might not mind as much that there's light trespass that exceeds the 0.1 foot candle that goes above there. But it does exceed the requirement on that side as well. So that's my input on our findings.
Thanks, Jim.
Sites are incredibly difficult to provide at 0 or even 0.1 limit 2 foot candle trespass over the property line due to the compact nature of urban sites with tight property lines and tight building setback lines. It is almost impossible to not have light trespass over these kind of site boundaries. There are 2 gooseneck poles as well, if you look on Google Street View. One is right in front of the existing building, so sort of due south of that parked car. On the curb edge, sort of where that 0.3, 0.4, just immediately, no, if you can go, Jordan, due south of the parked car, just straight down
Ooh.
from the parked car. Yep, out to the curb edge, there's a gooseneck lighting the street there. And then there is another one right at the far western end of the site that I believe is lighting the intersection, and there's a crosswalk down there. So there are 2 street fixtures that are providing, that are much taller than anything we're doing on the building, that are providing street lighting, but that is also de facto lighting the sidewalk on the south side of the building as well. Sorry, did the other remote participants lose the audio feed?
Yes, I was just about to speak up. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if we can hear the town at the moment.
You can't hear us now?
Yep, I can hear you now. Yes.
Oh. Maybe Bill's not enunciating loudly enough.
No,
Sorry.
it seemed like the feed dropped out completely for about 2 minutes there.
My only remark was that the board had been, on the projects that have been, in the same general area, we've always tried to ensure that the, lighting is, adequate to make it, safe to walk. And I don't know if we set an hour on it or not, but certainly I would think till, they're closing or 1 or something, I think
Yeah.
at the minimum. But that was kind of what this discussion had evolved from, was because the board, as I understood the candle, footlights were exceeded, but we were deferring because of the safety issue. And that is a particularly dark stretch. Correct?
Yes, it
Now, it may
is.
be different when it's in, because it's a new structure, and everything, but.
And if there's interior lighting from the windows, which
Right,
would be returned
right.
when. Moving forward, I don't think I necessarily need to see particular hours of the lighting, but I would encourage you to maintain the lighting when people might be your residents or
Yeah.
people might be wanting to use the sidewalk.
I think I would just prefer time sensor, not motion sensor. I think motion is more kind of jarring and.
I want motion sensor, yeah.
I want that someday, but not now. That's my dream.
And you might wanna put the rear lights and the parking lot light on a different timer. Cause maybe somebody would complain about that, I don't know. I don't think so, it doesn't look like they're throwing a lot of light, but they might.
Yes, the question would be, is that a condition that you would like to put in the application or not? Because I believe, Matt, part of the idea about those rear lights was a vandalism, anti-vandalism, concern against the bike path there.
Not really hearing a condition
Yeah.
from the board. I think what's being proposed sounds like the board thinks it's reasonable, and sounds like the board is interested in leaving it to the applicant to make those decisions without a condition.
Great, thank you for clarifying.
Am I getting that right? No,
Yeah, I might do a condition on the front lights.
for like time?
Yeah.
I think the board would entertain a condition too, that's reasonable, so. Do
What would you want your condition to be?
you wanna think about it?
No, now.
Wow.
Given that it's not facing anybody, just go dusk to dawn, it's the easiest thing.
Front duskers on, do whatever you want in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
The mill lights, the internal courtyard mill lights, are those regularly, are they on the timer or are they on all night? I haven't noticed.
I believe they're on all night. The parking garage is sure on all night.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
I don't know about the courtyard though.
I feel like I've been there pretty late and it's on.
I don't know.
Past part time?
Yeah, partying on my way home.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Jim, you mentioned a regulation in town for 5-foot candles. Where is that from? I couldn't find that reference. That's an extremely high level for a sidewalk.
It's maximum were 5-foot candles.
Oh, okay, that's a different, okay, I misheard you.
So yeah, so that's why I was saying that maximum 5. Most of them on the sidewalk are 5 or below, but there are a few that are over 5.
So typically foot candles are looked at as an average because it's very, the way a photometric works is it's a point in a very specific way.
Right. Well,
Do-
so
do
the
you know-
average should be 0.2 with a max of 5.
I see. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
On to the architecture.
I ask a question before we do? Mr. Chair, okay? I just wanted to make sure I understood from my notes and for the curb cuts. Are you coordinating with DPW separately on that?
Yes, I believe so, but I think we modified the plans for Jim's comments and for DPW Wayne's comments.
Okay, and just for, really for me more than the board, can, I just need to, anything that's on public like that. Where we wanna make sure that we go through DPW on that, and curb cuts and stuff while the board. I just, was not sure, how much you've been working, but that was my understanding, is that you're gonna work just on.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Okay. On the architectural side, I will flip through the pages and note the ones that didn't have any changes or questions from the last meeting. So there was no changes to these zoning diagrams and zoning information and table. To our site plan, we have put in a photo of the bike rack that we are proposing. Hoping there's no objection there. I can pause here for a second. Simple, sleek. Oop, zoomed out too much. It does not like when I zoom in and zoom out. Sorry about that. To the floor plans, we'll spare you guys this time around. There were no changes to these for this round. To our front elevations, the main street elevation and the corner elevation, there was no changes. We did focus and do some work to the rear elevations. The changes were to add some artwork that the owner can work on with the town, and I believe there's an art committee and they can work together to get this looking really nice. So rather than siding in these two locations, we are proposing flat fiber cement panels that can be painted on easily and represent that artwork. We have this is the front elevation, but if I can go to the rear elevation, there were no changes to these pages, so I just skipped through them. We have two examples noting that the art is TBD to be able to work with the town. This is one example that's showing something that is more of a nature example, and there's a second example that might be something a little more lively with some color. I think that could be something that is worked out in the future if that is okay. There was no changes to these before and after lighting nighttime renderings, excuse me. You can see some of the lighting on the sidewalk here. I do want to note that this elevation was focusing on making sure that there wasn't light leaking into the building. I think everything that we just discussed regarding lighting is still pertinent, and we'll take all of those comments into consideration, especially if it's a condition there. We did update the rear elevation to show what the heights of the building is in relation to the bike path and the streetscape there, and just kind of showing where those pieces of artwork can go. And again, making sure to get approval from the town through the right pathways before that is actually painted on. And that was the updates. Kind of quick. Happy to go back to any views or answer any questions if there's anything else for us to consider.
Yeah, elongating the windows was the main comment from Tim Hess from Cincy Architects.
Yes, apologize. Yep, these windows were 3 feet square. They are now 3 feet by 5 feet to elongate the windows and make the rear elevation to be not as, let's say, forgotten.
What language did we use for that theoretical mural on the side of Sugarloaf? They were gonna meet with the cultural district or the cultural council.
Well,
I know it never happened. But, or rather, it hasn't yet.
yeah, I have to look that up, I'm not sure.
Okay, that language might be useful.
Yeah, I,
So that language said that the art council could put something there if they wanted.
we didn't, yeah, that's right.
But I don't think that's this situation. I think the builder is doing this.
Right.
I think
With
it's like,
sign off of the art.
I'd like to retain some creative
Oh, yeah,
control of that. I think there's a really interesting project in Somerville. It's a renovation of I think a public school, like a sixties public school in the sort of brutalist architectural style. So it's very boxy and concrete, but they incorporated art in almost every facade. It's I'm not sure how they controlled it logistically or regulation wise, but I think I look to that project as kind of an example of how to do a really thorough integration of the artwork into the building, which is sort of our change to the siding material, which would allow for someone to apply paint easier than if it were just a random sided material.
I love the idea of the murals.
I think so far. Who's paying and who's maintaining the murals? Who's paying to install them? Who's maintaining them?
Am I answering that question?
I think so.
Sure, why not?
I'm not.
You're not paying or you're not answering?
I'm not answering.
They're your murals. Okay, well, that's great with me. I love what you already have on the building temporarily, so it's fine with me.
So far as your question, or the board, if the board is curious, for building permits, they're not necessary for the mural. For sign permits, if there's no advertising or anything like that, so. There's nothing on from a building permit side on that would be required.
Great.
So. Learning from past. Mistakes, do we need to require the murals up before occupancy?
That might end up to the rush. Program. That doesn't. I mean, that's my thought, at least.
I don't think it needs to be before occupancy. We'll just put maybe
2 years or something.
Yeah. some sort of end date. Within
It's a great idea on the sticker there.
within 2 years of occupancy.
Something like that, that would be my suggestion.
And these are. Full height. Murals, is that the deal? Or a certain
Think-
square foot?
I think it would depend, again, Matt wants to retain some ownership there because I would say, yes, you could see the two options do go towards the top, but one option fills in more than the other. So I'm sure that Matt would want to work with a local artist who can be creative and he can approve and work with them. But both options, and Matt, you can speak a little bit more to this or correct me if I'm wrong here. But yes, I think the intent is for both options to go close to the top and close to the midpoint, the band that goes around the ground floor level 1 split, so that it's visible. I think it'll be more impactful.
My only concern is that something that might not happen for 2 years after the permit. And it ends up being 2 square feet of paint. So,
Can you make me the mural person again?
Yeah,
Will you show me your mural before you put it up? I love murals.
Yeah, so conceptually, right now, we don't have I don't have like an art idea, it's really just a
That's fine.
placeholder that would give as much presence as possible to the piece, so that's why we have changed the material, the whole base of the rear wall and then the two verticals.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What we've done in the past is, so that we don't have to like work out all the controls on this, is just conditioned as mural will be approved by, designee of the chair. So chair will designate a board member to
And I like,
approve the proposed design.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we did on the other.
Yeah.
Last one.
with the other one, yeah.
And I do like the idea of the one control of having it, have a timeline of, some number of years after CO. And nothing against you guys, just, we did not include that previously in another application, another condition. And someone could just not do things, so we wanna have precedent of just having controls over those types of timeline controls.
If you're gonna do it, do it.
We trust you guys, it's not that, it's just.
Especially since we have existing residential just staring at this big ass building in front of us.
Yeah,
Right.
Part.
Does 2 years give you any heartburn, 2 years after CO, or I don't know how long it takes to have the sort of creative process in this.
I think we could do it concurrently with construction, like the conceptualization of what the piece is, and then be ready to execute once the siding is on.
Okay.
And actually be beneficial because I would still be staging.
Right,
But I'll send you a link to the Somerville project because it's probably has 30 pieces of art throughout the whole thing.
I would love to see that.
And then what happens if the mural wants to be changed? Would the applicant have to come back?
I think
How would that-
if,
I'm talking 10 years from now or 15 years from now.
well, we've never actually done that, but it makes sense to put that in, so it makes it easy. I think, well, what was the first decision? So it would be before at CO, is that what you're
2
saying?
years after CO.
2 years
That's
after.
kind of the general proposal.
Why don't? Well, if the board wants to look at additional, if there's a change, 10 years or whatever, we could always put in the, like we do with a minor modification, we just say at a post meeting of the planning board, so that the applicant would, appear before the planning board. And that way there's no public hearing or anything like that, there's no public meeting, you come in, you say, okay, I wanna put a kid with balloons and replace the sequoia. Or whatever.
Okay.
Is that good, guys?
I don't know, that's finance work. None of us will be here and by the time the mural gets changed anyway, so.
I think Natalie's on the hook for review.
I'll be here forever.
Perpetuity.
we live there by then.
Perfect. I'll have a lot of opinions, I'm sure.
All right, what's next? Are we through the presentation portion of this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can
Thank you.
we turn to design or engineer comments?
Been for a lot of them.
So we do have to be able to close these out. We could go through these one at a time. And see what remains by the end of that process. Would that be amenable to folks? Yeah,
We're gonna have to, I guess.
it's either that or do it offline.
I mean, we've gone through a lot of
Those are
them,
the
right, but we
options.
can go with.
Yeah, but we gotta check the box. We have to go through each one for sure, and Jim has to.
Okay.
For sure. Okay, who wants to drive the bus on this? Do we want to let our engineer,
I would say though, Jim,
Jim, do you wanna go through these one at a time and lead the discussion on this? Is that okay, or do you want the other team to do it?
It doesn't matter to me. I can do it if you would like. Either way. I think the sound might have cut out. Are you guys talking? I can't hear you. I can see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you. Think I heard something.
Do you hear us, Jim?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Excellent, good. All right, quick, start with number one. Tell us if you're good with it, and move on with number two.
All right, I'll start speed reading. Um, so, I mean, the first two are pretty straightforward. I don't know if we really need to get into them. The first one is we had a hard time reading the plan between existing proposed work and just recommended grayscale. So I think that's an easy one that they probably addressed. The second one is stamped by licensed professional, which it seems like they provided. So no issue there. The next one is about so MW. We wanted to clarify, what that was. It looks like there's existing monitoring wells on site. So they said that they would be abandoned as part of this project. I wasn't sure if the town would like to reinstate any of those monitoring wells that are there. That would probably be my follow-up comment to that one. Sorry, you're very faint right now if you're talking.
We're saying, does DPW know about those wells and do they care about them?
I do not know that. My suggestion would be, we could just make that coordinate to determine the
Condition to check with
disposition.
DPW before they get.
Yeah.
Those were installed by the previous owner and they. Inactive after they reached.
I don't think this is a planning board item.
Okay.
Hey, Jim, I hope are you bringing it up? Bill, could you just notify DPW if for some reason they want to claim these, that's up to them. But this is not part of. Jim, thank you for raising it.
Okay. Sorry, you're like really faint, but I think I heard you said that it's not a planning board item and that we can move on. Okay, thanks. Okay. Okay, the next one, granite curb is shown as flush adjacent to the pavement so I think this is more of like a detail. So they were showing flush curb before in the detail, so I was a little confused whether it was going to have a reveal or not. So also want to confirm the materials such as asphalt, concrete pavers throughout the site. So they said that in their presentation that they revised the curbing to have a 6-inch reveal, and they provide hatching to better identify the different materials used on site. So that should be addressed. And then the next comment is they were using Cape Cod berm and granite curb in the parking lot. The recommendation was to use granite curb throughout the parking lot because it holds up better against snowplows. They revised that to now use granite curb everywhere, so that's been addressed. Let's see. It's recommended that the curb line on the eastern portion of the site it's recommended that moves the curb cut to the property line since the old curb cut for the garage door is no longer needed. Their response was the existing curb cut on the eastern portion of the site is now proposed to be removed to match the eastern edge of the frontage, since there will be no garage there after this project is completed. So to make sense of that, there's an existing building there right now that has a garage door with a curb cut. And that building is now being removed and the parking lot is there. And basically if the curb cut would remain as is, it would be kind of going into their landscape area. So now the curb cut is extending so that it lines up with the neighbor's driveway better. So that looks like that's been addressed. And then, is the existing wall being removed and replaced with a new wall, or are the walls going to be next to each other? Any items should be removed, called out on the plans. Proposed walls should be detailed on the plans with existing walls if they are to remain. Their response was the rail trail retaining wall is to remain as is, and the other wall replaced with the unilock retaining wall. The labels for the walls have been updated. So, so it sounds like the retaining wall in the rear of the site will remain, and they're going to have their new wall abutting the existing wall. Is that correct? So I guess the concern is, how do the footings interact if the walls are right next to each other, abutting each other, between the proposed and the existing retaining wall? Has there been any investigation into that?
I think I submitted a section cut to you of the retaining wall detail. And then the current garage is half of the existing retaining wall. So when we remove that building, that will open up that bank for us to install new retaining wall. And then we would remove the existing retaining wall. And the new retaining wall will be all on our side of the property line.
Okay. I haven't had a chance to review that cut sheet yet. But
And I do want to clarify that the proposed new wall is meeting the existing wall at a perpendicular angle. So it's not like it's parallel with it where it meets the existing wall that is to remain.
And the existing wall is a cast in place wall, which would presumably have a much deeper footing. The proposed wall is a segmental retaining wall, a block wall, which typically is only 6 inches below grade, and then there's typically a 12 inches of compacted aggregate below that. So would have the question about footing interaction really shouldn't be an issue with a 90-degree intersection in the two different wall types.
Okay, that makes more sense. I think when we had originally reviewed it, I think we were getting confused with the lines on, how far that proposed wall extended adjacent to that existing wall. I think we were thinking that they were parallel to each other, up against each other, but it sounds like they're not. They're tying into each other, so there should be no impact with the footing. So that sounds like that comment has been addressed. Thanks. Okay, so the next one is comment number 8. Please clarify if all of the sidewalks south of the site will have vertical granite curb. There are several existing curb radii, but only one is noted to be removed. The line work seems to indicate that there will be vertical granite curb. Is the sidewalk and curb along Main Street being replaced? Proposed grade shall be provided to confirm ADA compliance. If the sidewalk will be removed, saw cut lines should be added to replace or reset the curb. Please revise. Their response was all sidewalk along the frontage of the property will have vertical granite curb. All existing curb radii except for the two for the proposed parking entrance shall be removed or relocated as shown on the plan. Per DPW, the entire sidewalk along frontage is to be replaced. Sock outlines have been added. Spot grades have been added. So, based on their response, it seems like this has been addressed. I haven't had a chance to review, all the spot grades yet, but I did see, the site plan had the hatching showing the full limits of the sidewalk being replaced and the dash line showing the sock cut for the granite curb. So I would say that that sounds like that probably has been addressed as well. Number 9, please confirm why the driveway entrance is angled, promoting a left turn entry over right turn entry. Please provide turning movements to confirm cars can turn right into the parking lot. And their response was, the driveway entrance is proposed to maintain existing curb cut and avoid existing fire hydrant and utility pole. Turning simulations are now provided in the detail. So the applicant did provide the turning movements in the presentation earlier. And as they noted, there is a utility pole and a hydrant in the way, which prevents them from having a normal curb cut turn into the parking lot. So they have like a sharper right turn in based off the auto turn. It required a 3-point turn to get into some of the parking spaces. So I guess I would defer to the board. Is the board okay with potentially a 3-point turn into those parking spaces?
Board didn't have any comments during the presentation, but we can see if there's any now.
I have no concerns.
Yeah, as long as the turns don't go over the sidewalk, and it doesn't look like they would, so.
Okay.
Good, Jim. And to move things along, number 10, it looks like that's also a waiver request for.
Question on that to you, Chris, does that require separate action? I mean, does that need to be listed in what's being asked for, or is that just wrapped into a site plan approval?
I think it's a formal waiver request, so we're gonna need to.
We have a separate vote for the waivers typically.
Yeah.
We list them in the decision.
Right.
Okay.
And then Jim, 11 also is a waiver request.
That's correct.
right?
Well,
Sort of.
the,
Is.
I guess the
Is 11 a waiver request?
well, that's what I'm saying, there's a special permit request for parking. And so anything we could wrap under parking relief would be part of the special permit. But anything that wasn't, I would say we just include as a separate item for the,
So
Waivers.
10 would be a specific waiver based on setback requirements. But 11, that was 10 could be setback requirements, but 11 could just be parking relief generally.
well, 11's definitely parking relief.
It's a special permit criteria. And it can also be like employees will park in public lots. That can be a condition.
Well-
It's not a waiver.
No, I don't think it's either. I think it's addressing it because I would say that under the DOD parking criteria, it's encouraging you to shared parking.
Okay, it's definitely not a waiver.
No,
Yeah, okay.
I still have a major problem with that, cause
well, those
there
students,
isn't a viable public parking lot anywhere near there. And if these employees don't have leased parking somewhere else, I'm not voting for this.
I think the on-street parking there is, when we go along there after leaving,
But you got at least 5 employees parking all day.
Well, if it's 2-hour parking, then they'll get ticketed.
But the site is asking for, but it already has minimal parking requirements, it's asking those to be had. And it's not practical. It's just gonna create more problems and more people complaining for no reason. They could build what they need to build and park what they need to park. But just saying somehow these people will just park somewhere else, which is, on the other side of the river,
I think
that's absurd.
well, that's, the board up to make that, yeah, you guys, in that area. I just don't see across the street that the on-street parking is that,
We're not talking on street park. We're talking. Well, I mean, maybe they could go get those spaces rezoned as 10-hour parking or tagged as 10 or whatever, but. I mean, I think they should get. They can't put it on site, then. They should get it from the mill.
Well, we can't instruct them to get them from the mill. Or
No, but. We've had plenty of people come in and say, yeah, here's our lease agreement for offsite parking.
right,
And that's part of it, and that's fine, let's see it, but. I don't see it, I mean, or they could, they could assign. What do we got, 2 business units, I mean, we could give them 2 reserved spaces on site, and each apartment could have 1 reserved space on site. I mean, that's better than just pretending that employees won't. That's not parking everywhere else.
But I don't
It's just too
understand,
much.
but I don't understand how they can. I mean, if the on-street parking there is all 2-hour parking.
Right, well. It's gonna be a problem.
practically speaking, Bill, what are options in the area?
Well, they can lease parking.
Or they can go to the River Street lot, which is not 2-hour parking, it's just public parking.
River
Yeah,
Street.
but they're not going to.
Is behind CVS, is that allowed to park? For that period of
CVS
time?
lot's full now.
Well,
CVS lot fills several times every month now.
I'm asking though if it's available for, a
Right,
short.
but it's not. No, it would not be worth it for a special permit. Special permit says that it's not doing any harm.
Hmm.
But, throwing people in conflict with what is now a very reduced parking supply downtown doesn't help. So,
Well,
I mean, the only thing I could see if they don't wanna lease parking is 3 reserved spaces for the apartments and 2 reserved for the businesses. It's better than nothing.
What about some sort of requirement that employees,
We've done that before, we did
Yeah.
that with marijuana.
that employees can't park?
Well, we've designated, they have to park in a municipal office.
Yeah.
But also, and the special permit though, remember, I don't, I'm not quarreling with you about the intent of it, but it's not a question of does it not do harm, it's a question of just, does the good outweigh the bad?
Sure.
And that's gonna be, you know, board can decide that, but I think that, we've been very careful, all of us have, with adding unnecessary parking, if it's unnecessary, if there's a compromise, and we say with the, like we did with, I can't remember which marijuana place, but at the time, we were really concerned, either Nason Street or wherever it was.
It was Nason Street.
And we were concerned about employee parking, because we didn't know what was gonna happen, we said, okay, you shall not park in this lot, here's where you'll park in River Street lot, or the Summer Street, or whatever we did. So that's a possibility too. Leasing from the mill typically does not lease spots, we know that because we've been trying that with a. I can't remember if I did it with you guys or not, but we have a project on Hillside, so you the zoning board, and that they are not.
Well, phenomenal.
Well, let's do this, applicant has heard, the concerns, and the team is, let's do a mic check, can you guys still hear us? Okay, all right, our team has heard the concerns, let's continue to get through this, and then we can go to the special permit criteria after. So, number 12, Jim, is snow storage. The board has these comments too in front of them, so. What's your thoughts on the response on number 12?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's sufficient that they can store in the green spaces as long as, you know, it doesn't impact the landscaping that they have. And then any excess will be removed from the site. So that's sufficient.
Then number 13 is about the ADA parking spot. It looked like you're referencing federal regs. And it looks like the applicant's referencing CMR, so you know, Massachusetts state regs. Is that your read of this as well?
That's correct.
I'm not an expert in here. What dictates what here? Is it the federal regs, Jim, from your point of view?
It's tough. So I looked more into the federal regs as well. And they specifically note the residential area as well. So if any residential units have are set up for mobility, like impairment, then that used to have a handicap spot. But I don't think any of these units do, correct me if I'm wrong. And I think the number of units that they have in the building is under the threshold that would require accessibility units as well. So that kind of negates that portion. And then another of the federal said, if you have any parking that exceeds like one parking space per unit, then you would need to have a handicap spot. So I guess in terms of that regulation, then it would be required. Unless, kind of like what Bill said, the other two are dedicated to the business, and they're kind of separate from the residential units. So in that case, then they wouldn't need it for the federal regs. And they would meet it per Maynard's zoning bylaw and per, Massachusetts CMR. So I think what they have is probably sufficient unless, the board feels differently.
Thoughts from the board on this?
If an adequate amount of parking spaces were required, how many would that be? So my question is, what I'm getting at is, An accessible space is only required when a total of 15 spaces must be provided. Are we to that limit on this to where one would be provided if enough parking was available?
What's the parking requirement for this project by the Maynard rules?
So, well, so the Maynard rules require, one handicap spot if you have at least 6 parking spaces. And the site right now has 5. And I'm sure if they had the required amount, they'd be over 6. I don't have the number in front of me that they would need required. I don't know if the applicant can provide that number.
Yes, by the Maynard zoning, it is 1.5 spaces for residential units. We have 3 residential units, so that rounds up to 5. And then it is 1 space for every 500 square feet, gross square feet of retail or office space. We have 2,400 square feet of office space. So that would technically require 5 as well.
So this project would require 10 parking spaces in total then. And we're seeking a waiver for 5, as I recall. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, my feeling is that if the space requires 10, that kind of on its own, to me, feels like a handicap spot should be provided. Like asking a waiver for one doesn't say that the other shouldn't have to be met.
We're actually also supposed to have. We don't. I don't believe. A handicapped space on that block. On street,
The town is supposed to have one.
yes. We don't.
I
So
don't,
could one of the added on-street spaces in front of the building be designated an on-street handicap space? Which would be publicly available.
They really were being added, I don't know if they are, but that would be. That would take care of some problems.
I think due to the building size, the upper floors do not have elevator access. And so the design team had discussed not to say that one of the first floor tenants couldn't potentially have an employee or a patron that came, in a wheelchair, but that the upper floors as a unit occupant would not have a wheelchair specific user of that because there is no elevator in the building. I believe that as we looked at layout, we would have to give up an additional space to provide a handicap space within the lot.
Yeah.
And understanding just the holistic picture of the downtown and parking constraints and everything else. I think West Concord is in a very similar condition. And, West Concord, when I was on the Concord Planning Board, struggled with this on every application. And the challenge between getting a robust downtown that has enough fabric there to support the downtown versus on-site parking is a challenging one. But maybe an on-street handicap immediately in front of the building where we're closing some of the curb cuts off, maybe that could be, an amenity and take care of, the potential user for the building first floor.
no comments about paint striping.
I'm just gonna say, I struggle with the fact that we're directing logically, shared parking includes. Is accessing public parking, and we don't have a. We don't have a DPW who's willing to invest in more public parking, so I don't know what to say. I don't really feel like it's appropriate to. Talk to an applicant about not using the shared parking that we reference in many of our town documents. If we don't have a DPW who's willing to support that anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Where's the closest space?
We'll just make the town do it. It's fine. Whatever.
I mean,
There's a parking space in front of the pizza joint, right?
Yeah.
yes,
The curb cut,
yes.
actually. Yeah, it has to be next to a crosswalk.
Well,
They would put it on the wrong end, they would put it down by the post office.
well, let's do this. Obviously, there's some thought needs to be put into this sort of topic. Let's continue on. I would say let's get through the comments and see where we end up in total. Is that okay with everyone? Good, okay. I think we've talked about this enough, but I think we all understand. The challenges here, so. All right, Jim, mic check, can you still hear us? Yeah.
Yes, yep.
14 is.
Yeah, system capacity analysis has been submitted to the DPW. And it sounds like the DPW has confirmed that it is adequate. So,
And then 15 is fire alarm. Typically, we kind of stay out of that and just allow the fire department to help determine. Is that okay with you, Jim?
yeah, I was kind of just saying, have they coordinated with the fire department at this point, and make sure that they do if they haven't, sort of part of the comment. The next one is the water main connection detail. I think the DPW read our comments and said basically any of the water comments that they would own. So we could skip that in terms of planning board review.
It's a good comment, but we'll just consider that
Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit there. Silly. Next one. So the next one is, have test pits been performed to confirm soils are suitable for infiltration and seasonal high groundwater is at least 2 feet below the bottom of the leaching basin. The soil on site is potentially contaminated. Have soil sampling been performed to confirm the contamination of the soil is okay for infiltration BMPs. This should be sampled and confirmed by a licensed site professional. Their response was no. Site is covered by building and paving. Construction of the rail trail at the west corner did not encounter contaminants. I still think that a test pit should be performed for the leaching basin to confirm it has adequate separation of groundwater so that we know that it will leach into the ground appropriately as designed. And if they are going to do a test pit, why not do a sample there as well? Since you're doing a test pit there. So that's my recommendation. I don't know how the board feels as well.
Can you hear? Okay.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Board members, I'm not sure we have the request or restrict soil sampling. But so what's the structure? Is there infiltration galleries going in?
Leaching basins. Yeah. So it's like a catch basin that infiltrates into the ground.
Jim, I'm fully on board with your concerns. Is there a rule of planning board that this ties to at all?
Say that again. Do you say, is there?
I don't think you can hear me. Can you?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Is there a planning board rule or reg? that this ties to?
This is, I mean, I could try to find one, but it is part of the, you know, Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook, that, you know, when you're designing a stormwater BMP, you have to have adequate separation of groundwater. So the soil contamination might not be exactly in there, but the adequate separation of groundwater is part of, you know, designing BMPs and making sure that, you know, if you're installing something to infiltrate, you're putting it in a condition that allows it to infiltrate. Because, you know, they could have high groundwater and we're putting this, you know, we're putting this in and then it has water, you know, in the bottom of it, so it'll never infiltrate.
Another comment showed that there are monitoring wells on site and you can take groundwater data from monitoring wells, right?
That's true.
So, but I don't know if this is I'll turn to the board. I'm not sure this is how much of this is an actual planning board item.
I don't believe that we've required,
Yeah,
when we've been provided with these test results in the past, it hasn't been at our request, so I can't say.
yeah. I'm hesitant to go too far down this road. I don't know if we have.
Bill?
Bill Crenshaw, can I tap to your experience on this?
Well, I'm just wondering what the consequences are if on adjacent sites. Is that the point here, or, you know, or if they test it and they find something, they just do something else?
I don't want to get into testing. We're not, the planning board doesn't have the authority to say test soils. But I think since leaching basins are shown, you know, there is a need to confirm that the BMPs will be met. I think that's the only thing.
And if they aren't, what
I don't know.
would happen?
I don't know.
I'll jump in here. So we're already reducing impervious on site. So the addition of this leaching catch basin is over and above what we technically would need to do because we're already reducing the rate and volume of runoff. So the solution to, if groundwater were a problem, would be just to remove the catch basin. So in my opinion, the addition of it is you know, is an improvement because the alternative would just be to remove it, you know.
How deep is this leaching basin?
It's there's a 4-foot sump and then it's about 6 feet, I would say. And the soil maps do show sand here. So, you know, it should have good infiltrating capacity.
I don't know if it's a drawing into, was it a planning board purview item? I don't know the answer to that question, but I think it would make sense to do it, given the history of the site. And, you know, why put them in, not do anything, right?
So I'll say it this way, I'll leave it with this. Jim, again, really appreciate the comment. I think the applicant should proceed how you guys choose on this. And just remember that if you need to remove the leaching basin and catch basin, the infrastructure, that may be a modification that you're gonna have to come back to the planning board on. So that's the risk. So I would advise you to make sure that it's going to work ahead of time. Is that fair, guys? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's statement report. All right. 18, Jim?
There's a water sewer crossing detail. Again, I think this probably falls under DPW purview. Same with 19, DPW purview. 20, this was one of the leaching basins was within 10 feet of the building. Per Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook, it recommends having anything infiltrating be beyond 10 feet of the building. So they eliminated that leaching basin. So that's been addressed. A detail of the crushed stone in the rear of the building should be provided. It's unclear from the grading. Is the area able to drain out to the east of the building? So it looks like they provide a detail in additional grading for that area to drain behind the building. So that's good. Yeah, the concern was that, you know, the back of the building has the wall and then the building. So I was concerned with, you know, water pooling back there getting stuck. So it looks like they're able to get it out from behind there. 22, please indicate on the plans where each erosion control measure is being proposed. The response, you know, based on the response, it looks like they've added, you know, all the erosion controls needed. I just need to give that plan another back check quickly to confirm I agree with all the locations. The next one, 23. Are you saying something? Sorry. I can't hear you again. Should I keep going? Yeah. Okay. 23. Same thing. Another erosion control measure update. Looks like they have updated their detail to address the comment, so that should be good. 24. Please provide a landscaping plan. They did provide one, and our landscape architect is reviewing that. We asked if there was any irrigation proposed. They said that there's no irrigation proposed. So that's good. 26. The required planted buffer between the parking lot and 149 Main Street consists of ornamental grasses, a tree, and a large shrub. Maintained ornamental grasses are cut back annually. It will not provide screening for some of the year. The design will not meet the buffer requirement of 6 foot height at installation or 10-foot width. The applicant responded that they are providing a fence, and it wasn't clearly labeled on the plans previously. So they're using the fence to meet the buffer requirements. Number 27, a fence is required where a vegetated buffer is not practical. So similar comment, they provide the fence. That wasn't observed before. 28, trash receptacles are shown. There's a requirement for there is a requirement for screening. Please provide details of trash enclosures or whatever screening is possible. They were changed to trash lockers, to conventional totes with screening. I guess, I don't know, do anyone from the board want to see, you know, what they're using for screening for the trash receptacles, or do you want to move on to the next one? I know they sent cut sheets of those if you want to review them as well.
I do have a question. The trash system, because I still understand how trash is being picked up.
Private hauler.
Using one of those little trucks going in. So it's not gonna block the sidewalk up, does it?
Maybe momentarily.
It would be more than momentarily. Cause you gotta pull the totes out, right? Each one?
Yeah.
And then throw that in.
Unless they pull in to the lot.
I don't understand, wait, you're assuming they're on the street and pulling the totes to the street?
They would, depending on the size of the truck and the hauler, they would either pull the truck into the lot and empty the totes, or they would park at the neck of the lot and pull the totes out to the truck.
Yeah, that's a problem. You need a small truck,
To get into the lot.
yeah. Yeah, it's a brand new site, you're gonna be able to figure out how to do trash pickup. But I mean, they make the small city trucks. To pull in. But, you know, big old 35 footer with the ass sticking out on the street, that can't be good.
Is your concern the truck on the public way, right? Is that what I'm hearing? Like, either a truck that's parked on the, just in the street,
Or is your concern on the sidewalk?
No, I'm concerned about the sidewalk.
so blocking the sidewalk.
Yeah, whether it's by the totes or by the tail end of the truck.
There's a private hauler in Concord called Yield Colonial Trucking. He drives a small box truck that's maybe 18 feet long. That could fit into the parking lot.
We could condition that trucks are not allowed to block
The sidewalk.
sidewalk in any way during this operation.
Oh, I don't want the totes either.
Or totes stored on sidewalks too, yeah. We can condition that. I agree, I don't want a bunch of totes on the sidewalk, I don't want any trash on the sidewalk to the extent practical for all these sites.
Yeah, I mean, good, well, I mean, pedestrians have no options if the sidewalk's blocked either by totes or by truck.
Right.
So. That, yeah, so,
Would you be comfortable with that type of condition?
Sure.
So that last second was no vehicles shall obstruct sidewalk during trash collection.
Yeah, for trash collection, you cannot at all block the sidewalk with receptacles or with vehicles. Something to that effect.
It looks quickly scaling off the plan that even a 35-foot truck, if it backed into the lane between the parking stalls, a 35-foot truck still would not obstruct the sidewalk, and that's a big trash truck.
Yeah, I can confirm that it's approximately 38 feet from the back side of the sidewalk towards the retaining wall at the end of the parking lot.
Excellent to know. Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
No.
I don't know if that actually did anything. Yes, it did.
You're muffled. We hear you, but you're very quiet. And then all of a sudden we'll hear you clearly and then it goes back to being muffled.
Is this better now? Unclick noise removal, right there, right near your, yeah.
We heard you say, can you hear us? And then you cut out.
Discussed. I'm comfortable with those. Can you guys hear us?
Just
Faintly.
barely.
Very faint.
Jim needs to be able to give a formal on this. The vast majority of these, I think, are confirmed and checked. Can you hear me now, guys?
Very, very faint. I think you said the mass majority sounded good. Sorry.
I'm saying that, I think we're done with design review discussions tonight, and we can instruct this from here. Can you? So Bill,
Yeah, I can hear you, Chris. I can hear you, Chris.
I think we're through this. We're through the design review discussions. Jim, you're just going to need to formalize this and send it back to the team. We have a couple items that I think obviously needs a little more thoughtfulness and discussion. In fact, I think there's only really one, and that's just the general concept of what public parking and employee parking is going to look like. It sounds like the board would be supportive of street parking for this, and there may be an opportunity to do so. Right? Bill, I think. I mean, that's my thing, but the only issues, the only issues I have are we're going to check on the monitoring rules, which is actually probably talking to them before I do. Yeah, but we're saying that's not a planning board item. So. Right, and then the rest is just the parking spaces, which I'm looking at it. I would say it all is going to be special. It would all fall under the special permit, I guess. So.
Would you feel like if they designated 3 parking spots for residences and 2 parking spots for the commercial units? Bill Crenshaw?
Normally, but man, then that triggers the accessibility issue. Yeah, it's just a tough site to provide accessible parking for.
I thought that avoided the accessibility for the handicap spots.
Yeah, but that's a little bit of my concern is that by saying they can provide less parking shouldn't also automatically relieve them of not providing an accessible spot that would otherwise be required. I have a little bit of heartburn about that.
And we're effectively making it unusable to some people intentionally. And the select board's giving away all of River Street there, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called.
Railroad Street is all permit parking only.
Maybe if we get in that last space of handicap accessible, it might be okay.
Is that permit
parking only for residents of Railroad Street? Yeah.
Yeah.
Railroad permit only. They sold them.
They sold the land.
No,
They sold the
spaces as permanent.
Yeah, but if we
Change
could,
ownership.
if we could get a handicapped parking space there, I think that helps meet the criteria.
Yeah, I know, but I think they already gave it away. But that would be perfect. Oh, yeah, handicapped parking spots right at the end there, right at the.
spots, right?
What about putting one on the street near that intersection?
Well, yeah, I mean, if they can, yeah. I mean, or you do it, you change the one at the pizza place to
So-
handicap.
Would you mind bringing up the special permit criteria so we could just review that?
Sure. I don't know, it's just unfortunate. But, it's a case of too much on the site, I think.
Let them go if they can't hear us.
Yeah,
What did you say?
So first, I think we're through this. Does your team have any other changes that they would like to present?
No, I think they can sign off.
Yeah, I'm happy to release them if you guys are comfortable with that. Okay, can you guys hear us online?
Yes.
Yes.
Through all the technical conversations here, Jim, Bill Demser will be in touch, but generally we just need the formality of your official review, back and forth on this for the confirmed. We're happy to have you guys sign off and have a good evening. We're not going to have any more technical conversation tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very
Take care.
much.
Bye.
I think it's the refrigerator that's messing up all the microphones.
Yeah.
Not kidding.
You don't know where sorry, go
If
ahead.
I can offer one handicap spot solution, but I think it impinges on the landscape regulation, is that we could push the trash into the planting area. And we would be limiting the green buffer, but we would free up that aisle, which would allow us to make a wider stall for handicap parking.
On the property, right?
So that would mean there's three parking spaces on the property, one is handicap?
Well, there would be 5 spaces, one would be handicap accessible.
So, that's it.
It would require a wider stall width and then access to the accessible sidewalk.
Bill, would you,
Yeah.
when you're done finding what you're finding, maybe you could bring up the plan?
Oh, okay, all right. Do you want, here's the criteria for special permit, yes?
Yeah, that's all. I just want everyone to see remind us what the parking criteria is essentially.
For parking?
The special permit criteria.
For the standard special permit criteria? In other words,
Yeah, 946.
The DOD?
This is not a DOD special permit, right?
no.
No.
Well, it's in the DOD,
Yeah, so
so.
946.
So it's 946.
Should be right at the beginning. Yes, yeah.
Right
There
here,
we go.
that's it. Here, let me make it.
You gotta make it bigger for me, man. I can't. There you go. All right, we all know the high quality development,
Yep.
which is number 1. Number 2 is,
Stormwater, water runoff.
yeah. Number 3 is one of the following. Significant improvement to the number of parking spaces in the downtown, significant improvement to the effectiveness of parking space allocation of the downtown, significant improvement to the pedestrian experience,
That's definitely true.
significant improvement to the water quality, and increased use of the river, significant improvement to the functioning of the downtown. So, Bill, how many of these do they have to meet?
One.
You only have to meet one of these, which is, one of those.
But these are DOD special permit criteria.
This is,
Are we doing DOD as well as the general special permit?
Well, it's a special permit that's in the downtown overlay district. I don't see how.
So we gotta do both. We gotta do 10-4 and
I would,
946.
that would be my opinion. It's a
Okay.
Special permit, it's no different, it's a use permit in the DOD and the standard. in my
all right,
opinion.
then go to 10-4 real quick.
Okay, so the answer to this, yes, it'd have to, one of these. And what do you want next time? What do you want me to do?
10-4, go to 10-4.
Okay.
right there,
That's the conditions.
those are the conditions.
Did we put it in this? Did we?
It's above the conditions.
It's right, a little further down,
There we
Bill.
go, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, there's.
So the consideration for each of these.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your question you asked.
But the permit is general, but it must also include consideration of those, right? It's not just the.
Yeah, right, yeah. Needs to consider all of these. So. Now, I think Chris Klein has a reasonable point, which is about, and I was thinking this too, like, I don't want to try to skirt ADA or accessibility, particularly for a parking spot if possible.
Well, if you take one of the 5 parking spots and it made it ADA,
Yeah,
okay, realistically, if, I mean, if you had a resident that lived there, I suppose that could end up being
right,
their spot. On the other hand, if you didn't, it would be for whoever came in that was handicapped, and I mean, there's, you have to use a street park then for the employees, so if you're comfortable, I mean, is that comfortable if you made one of those spots accessible, 1 to 5? Could that work in there? Because there's what, extra 3 feet, I think, is it, an addition?
And then what do we do with the commercial parking? That becomes municipal law, or street parking?
I have that's my opinion is I don't, I think there's adequate parking there for but I don't wanna, I mean, that's just my opinion, I don't vote. But,
I mean, it's the whole package, like, we're reducing parking from being requested to reduce from 10 to 5
Right.
for the property, which is a decent request.
Right.
It's 50% reduction.
right, it is.
And so that has impact, of course. And so how do we mitigate that impact?
Well, I think, you know, going back to philosophically, when we were talking about planning reductions before, we came to, let's stipulate, we all agree with the ADA thing, that Chris Klein brought up, right? No argument there. Number of parking spaces, we figured, I mean, that's the developer's call, I think, in the downtown overlay district. And if people park illegally, there's a penalty for it. That's my, I'm totally comfortable with the way we've done our other DoD projects. On the other hand, for the ADA, I think these are good points, and it's important. And I would say, would the board be comfortable with that, or is this just, you know, if there was an addition of a ADA spot in there? Because ADA adds, what do we say, it's an extra, is it 3 feet? I think?
Oh, well,
It's an extra 8, it's 16 feet wide.
For-
Because it has to be van accessible.
Gotta be van
So
accessible.
one-
Yeah. Because that was the problem putting them on the street. Remember, we said, well, it's not
Right.
really handicapped, not really ADA spot.
No, but you're allowed to if you're not changing those sidewalks.
But we are changing sidewalks.
No, we're just reconstructing, we're not changing the
Okay.
alignment of them.
Well, if,
Here, let me, look,
Theoretically, the town is supposed to put a handicap spot somewhere on that block,
so
on the street.
I like this application if it has a handicap spot on the street, like that, to me,
on the street,
yeah, to me, that makes sense.
So
Sorry, I
if-
keep cutting you off.
no, it's okay. If during, you know, the process of sidewalk reconstruction, the applicant would be willing to stripe parallel parking spots on the street, including one that is a designated ADA spot. if DPW is amenable.
Does the board think there's any way they're gonna close tonight?
No,
Okay,
we can't. I need Jim to
Okay.
formally submit
here's what I
that.
would suggest.
And I don't think we have a good condition.
I feel like we're very close. I just want to figure out how to make.
Here's what I would propose.
Yeah.
How does this, keep the parking the way it is. And with the proviso that, with the restriping for the new spots, we can talk DPW, and if they would be fine, we put the handicap spot right at the point there, or no, it has to be with it, how many?
Let's be the one next to wherever the curb cut is.
Would that work for you, Chris Klein?
Yeah, I think that if I would look at a couple things. I would look at possibility of on-street handicap spot, talk with DPW, see if you guys can come up with something that works for you. I'd also look at what you talked about, the possibility of, can you reconfigure something within your lot to make it work in there and provide 5 spots. Yeah, it seems like those are the two most reasonable options. I would look at those two things and see what falls out, see if we can make one of those work. I agree, I think that we're close, but I do want to make sure that we're not, ignoring a part of our population.
I have to say I have less control of what I can deliver in terms of street parking because
Oh.
there are questions
Absolutely.
of
100%.
curb dimension,
Would-
whether or not we can make it work. And
Which is why I encourage you to also look at what you can do on site.
we did have a 6-space parking lot at one time, and we did have a handicap space at one time, but just through different permutations, we are where we are.
I mean, if that's,
It's doable on site, I know that for certain.
Would the board prefer the on-site handicap spot with a reduction of landscape space? Would that be acceptable to the board
Yeah.
as the trade-off? Because I believe that's, as you commented before, that would be a trade-off.
We'd have to push the trash onto a hard surface where the planting is and widen the stall and make access to the trash that allowed us to make a ADA space on that side of the parking lot.
Okay.
Because I know we don't have room for it on the other side adjacent to the building because we have the proximity of the retaining wall
Mhm.
and the curb radius, which is already tight.
is there any, I'm just thinking out loud here, any possibility of moving trash to the acute corner to the west? Would that, I don't know if that would even help you,
Closer to the building,
No, up to the point,
to the, yeah.
on the
on the left side there.
I think that's more of a town planning, like, do you want to see the trash at the point of the apex of the prominent intersection?
I think the trash pickup would be a problem. It would be an obstruction
Sure,
of
I think
of
you're
a
right.
key.
I'm just throwing stuff out there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. Your point too earlier, Bill, on the, having handicap by the crosswalks. I think if I recall, there's a crosswalk a little further
Out here.
There's one there at the point and then a little bit further towards town there. Are there any handicap spots on the opposite side of the street? in front of
No,
you?
I was trying to do that too,
Oh,
but,
you, okay,
There's none.
okay.
I mean, it would be easy just to post a handicap spot on the opposite side of the street, but there's no legitimate path to that crosswalk.
Got it, okay.
So, big picture, this is the only item I see that requires further discussion. Everything else, I think the board has demonstrated comfort with, is my feeling on it.
Well, if the curb cuts that are eliminated, right, we're eliminating what, 2 total?
Yeah, it's going from a huge amount of curb cuts to just a regular driveway.
Yeah, so, but you're saying that adding, if we added a handicap spot on street, DPW's okay with that? Which I can't imagine.
Seems like it aligns, seems like everything's aligned.
It does, didn't we do that somewhere else too?
We tried to, and they said no. Am I living in an alternate
No,
universe?
they said no, but that was part of,
I thought it was because it was too small. They said it's not.
There was a couple different reasons why. This was we're literally taking away curb cuts.
Right.
We were
Right.
last time too. It was the fire station.
Right, but there was some turning radii that made it challenging, and then
Site
it
distances and
went down to
intersections.
2 spots from 3, and some of that made sense, but this seems very straightforward to me.
We don't know the width, do we?
Well, that's what I'm looking at right now. It looks like it narrows a little bit.
Yeah,
I
no.
think we're on the short side of where we actually need for the width to get street parking both sides.
Right.
Okay.
Because it disappears in front of the pizza place.
Let's take it from the other side of the street and put it on your side of the street.
That was something Bill mentioned before.
Is there? Are you trying to?
I mean,
There's parking.
it almost works, but I
Right.
mean, you can't
Yeah.
get to the crosswalk. There's not a handicap accessible route to the crosswalk.
It's too bad too, because it seems like a on-street handicap spot would benefit not only this project, but also the town at large.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. I mean, that was my, if, I guess the only thing I got confused about was about the dimensions, but if it, because I couldn't, forget it. It would be a net benefit if there's no, particularly if there's no handicap parking there. And it was, so then, I mean, maybe it's just a question of DPW and just tying it up with them.
Yeah. Hard to know.
Yeah, I mean, what if, and even the possibility of discussing converting the spot in front of the pizza place maybe. I don't know if that would work with crosswalks or anything like that, but it's a thought.
Is there a crosswalk right in front of the pizza place?
No, there's
No,
no
there's not.
crosswalks
For the
anywhere
post
good on
office.
that block.
Between the post office.
Right, there's no crosswalks. It's
Just-
at the
just-
rail trail at the Q corner and
Yeah.
at the post office.
Right,
So
that's
it's a
it.
big stretch of nada.
Yeah.
With lots of parking on both sides.
Yeah, it's just,
Except where they need it.
it's just a tough little thing. It's not a square little block, it's pointy.
Okay. I don't know how to resolve this tonight, but I think offline discussion is the way to move this forward.
Well, there's two, we have two ways to at least start on
Yeah.
site, see what works there, and have a conversation with DPW. And I think, all in all, that addition of a handicap spot in an area where there isn't any, certainly is a net benefit to town. If that, Chris, is that sounds, would that be okay? If that worked with DPW, would that be good with you?
Yeah, I think that it's important that there be a spot in the immediate vicinity of the area.
Were you saying that there's supposed to be an ADA spot in the street there? Is that on the list somewhere?
On the town's list?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you're just saying.
Yeah, it's a relatively new federal law,
What's the federal law?
pro WAG.
Tell me more. In regular people talk.
I'll make a motion to continue this hearing.
Oh, sure.
Second.
Sorry. So, yeah, motion made in second, I guess. But any final thoughts before we continue?
I'd be very comfortable if the other side of the street was zoned long-term parking instead of 2-hour parking.
What does that have to do with this hearing, though?
That has to do, well,
That has to do with employee parking.
employee parking.
But
If that on-street parking was long-term parking instead of short-term parking, I wouldn't have an issue with the lack of options for employee parking.
is that a passive way to say the applicant needs to make proposals to the zoning
Well, actually, it'd be the select board,
select board?
or maybe it's DPW, I don't know.
Could be select board with DPW after.
Bill, when do you guys want to continue this?
Well, we don't have a meeting on the 23rd, so the board, our next scheduled meeting would be the 13th. We could put if you want to do a different meeting ahead, we could do that. Remember, Zoe will be pinch hitting on the 13th if it
Okay.
is there. I'm having my thing on the 12th, so I'll be out for 2 weeks.
He's getting a bionic arm.
All What are your thoughts on continuance?
And if the board wanted to do a different date, we could do it, you know. Because we,
It doesn't sound like there's a lot of technical review left.
I would imagine we could have the information for the parking before the Christmas holidays, so.
Okay.
Is that the closest hearing, or does it need to be, can it be done outside of the hearing?
Well, we need a day to continue the hearing for sure.
I don't think that would be a good idea. I think if there was a date, if you wanted, you know, we could do a continue to date before our next scheduled one, which would be our next scheduled one on the book would be January 13th.
That's fine.
But if the board wanted to do one earlier, we could do that, you know.
No, the 13th sounds fine if you guys are agreeable to that. All right, I'll make a motion to continue to January 13th at 7. I'll make a motion to continue to January 13th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Second.
All in favor to continue, please raise your hand. It's 5-0 to
Are you clear
continue.
with everything pretty much on this? In a sense? Okay, I think it's down to this niblets.
Two things.
What's the second thing?
Oh, two options for handicap.
Oh, okay, all right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys coming in.
Yeah.
All right, meeting minutes or?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Just, on page 2, the first full paragraph,
I just looked to see if my name was spelled right anymore.
Mr. Hall
It's not.
introduced his team.
yeah, it references room for 6 retail and office spaces on the first floor. That can't be right.
No, I think it's 2.
Where are you at? Where are you at?
Second paragraph of the second page.
What,
There is room for 6 retail and office spaces on the first floor. And 3 apartment units.
For retail, I don't know where 6 came from. Well, it could be 6 small ones. Chris, where did you spell your name wrong?
You didn't. I just said that's the only thing I look for.
Oh,
Right, oh, that's the main thing.
and no chainsaw.
Unfortunately. I think you should just sneak an extra strange name in the others present. I'm good with it.
Well, make a motion then.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 12 as amended.
Second.
All those in favor? It's 4-0. Chris left the room. Chris Arsenault left the room.
We are lost without him. Is that me?
No, that's the applicant.
Oh.
Meeting minutes?
We did.
Okay,
We changed your name.
good.
I really don't want to talk about Dark Sky now, 'cause- except that I think that guy, I think Jim Thorne was referencing the obscure Dark Sky PDF from 2015 that we referenced in our planning board rules and regs. So I do think we should update our planning board rules and regs lighting requirements, which I am working on with some input from other people who like dark sky things. Sound good?
Sure.
Great.
Before we bring it to the board, I'm sorry, I was closing up there. Now let's do-
I'm not giving my whole spiel because I feel tired and mad right now. So,
Who pushed you off? Did he? No.
No.
No, he didn't.
Hey?
No, I met with the dark sky people. They have some ideas. They have too many ideas. So we're gonna figure it out. A way for them to.
You're gonna shine a light on the issue?
Our dark sky references are very old, and I do think that there are ways to incorporate some broad ideas that will not be too confining for us.
Like a dark corner confining?
Like a dark corner. We're gonna talk broadly about lumens, and we'll talk broadly, maybe reference color of light, because moths like certain colors, but we're not gonna be too prescriptive. That's all. I have to admit I haven't fully delved into it, but I do think that there's plenty to work with that will work within our guidelines while they work towards a general bylaw, which is their own thing.
We didn't want to bring the board anything that, we wanted to make sure that if they had proposals for amending the regulations, that they were worked out ahead, so we didn't.
And any town bylaw has nothing to do with our own bylaws, right?
Well, yes, I guess it could, in other words, if something was against town bylaws and we made a zoning determination, for example, that was against the town bylaws, I'd imagine that could be a conflict.
Once we have a dark sky bylaw, if we do,
Right.
and it says no Batman signals, we can't approve a Batman signal on a new building.
I mean, the applicant can't install a Batman signal in a new building if it's against the town bylaws, but it doesn't always have to be part of the special permit.
Yeah, it's probably not good practice.
Yeah, I hear you, but like, we don't go through the town bylaws to make sure
No,
everything's compliant.
that's true too, you're right also, but I mean, like, if we said.
But I think it'd be egregious for the planning board to approve something that we actively knew was against town bylaws.
And now I know way more than I ever thought I would, so.
Well, now you know.
But hopefully if we get ours in place and it's somewhat practical, then maybe we can stop others from making impractical suggestions into a real bylaw.
Oh, sure. I don't think that's true, but it's always good to dream.
Because it is wicked hard to enforce lighting bylaws. Because you
Yes.
can't even measure it correctly or
Well, and I
consistently.
do think that one of the reasons that they're interested in us is because we are the only ones who really do
Do what?
enforce lighting, anything.
But we also, as I was clear with them, that the purpose of our rules and regulations is to implement the zoning bylaws and
Yes.
the town, what we're trying to do for the town. But they are limited in what we can do with it. So as a planning board regulation is not a bylaw.
Yes,
It's our own-
although,
Right.
I mean, we saw tonight that Jim Thorne was referencing the very prescriptive 0.02 light foot candles, right? So like, that's referenced in our regulations, so.
It is, but we're implementing but it also says like that during plan review, we're looking at the effects
Yes.
of light in the bylaws, it says.
For sure, but I'm just saying, like, we're already pretty prescriptive if
No,
we
you're right.
put a link to that PDF, so
Yes.
I think updating it would be good, and
Oh,
I think we
absolutely,
can
absolutely. Yes.
Thank you for that.
be, you're so welcome.
It was good, it was a good meeting, I mean, it was a lot
It was.
done, I think got a lot done, it was, thanks for coming for that, Natalie. That was a big help. I think the only other thing I have is that we did get the ADA grant. So,
Great,
what's funny about
We can
that?
put it in a parking space.
yeah, maybe they can talk
What if
someone
there's
into
nothing for,
upping the paint
enough money in there
budget.
for paint?
Yeah, maybe we can up the paint
For a
budget.
20-foot long
for-
stall on the street, let's
Cheap
say,
shot.
on Main
Cheap
Street.
shot.
No, not cheap.
Throwing that out there.
No, I know. I'm just one cat.
I mean, you got a grant.
So where are we gonna spend the money?
Why?
Where?
Well, we have to have we want to have a transition, a self-assessment, which we have to have done first.
This is
Along
for,
the town,
this is for municipal buildings.
municipal buildings
Right.
and
Oh,
infrastructure.
buildings? Oh.
And infrastructure like sidewalks,
Sidewalks.
like parking spaces?
Like along the sidewalk?
What?
Like-
Public, any publics.
Is this study money or do stuff?
It's, no, do stuff is the next, it's a two-step.
Oh, this is study money.
First part, this is $60,000 for
A study.
the plan. Well, they're gonna evaluate it, and then transition, how we're gonna get over.
I know where they can put a curb cut and an ADA parking space.
Well, that's what they should.
Well, right, yeah, like evaluating where we could get more ADA spots?
They're going to inventory what we have, and like, I would imagine if like right here, we have there's a complete absence of it,
Right.
I would think they would say, yeah, you need one here, you dopes, and so for those to be every.
Is it $60,000 just for the assessment of what we currently have, or also for a plan?
It's for the transition plan and the, inventory.
We have a transition plan, an old one,
I don't know what one is, I tried that, it already.
but it's an update of the old one, right? That's good.
It's, the exact buildings aren't even there anymore. I tried that. There was a half one done in 2018. Here's what I've done, here's what I did. Before I sent that grant off, I had to, like all of the others, I had to get a basic estimate from somebody. So there's a company that does a lot of these, that Massachusetts Office of Disability has used them a lot. So I had them write up what we need. Now, the second phase is considerably more, because it's construction grants. But without this plan,
You can't get those.
it can impede us from applying for other plans. We have to do it. We've been fooling around with it for, the last one that was actually done was 2008, I think, or 7. So we got it.
Nice job, Bill.
We'll get it going. You know, there was a lot of people working on it.
Do you have any other planner updates?
Zoe will be filling in for me on the 13th.
Great.
She can take, I'll make sure she's up on it, she can take care of all this, and you guys know basically it's down to the other thing.
Let's have, if you could prepare conditions, or like the waiver conditions proposed.
Well, we know what they are.
Right.
When they do, yeah, I will.
Right.
We'll have a sense the next couple of days. He's very on the ball with it, with everything that we
Yeah.
have him do. I mean, he keeps in touch, and it's not.
Yeah, I just don't want to put Zoe in the spot to like,
No.
like rework
Draft all the conventions.
rework the language of the condition in the
I'll
meeting.
work with her to get it done ahead of time.
Yeah, and just very, very, clear for us, right? And I can help you with that.
And usually, I can be hanging out in the wings, but this one I don't know if I can, so.
No.
But I'll go over it with Zoe.
She'll be
I'm
fine.
not worried about that. She'll be fine. We'll get
Yep.
it all cleaned up before. And we just figure out what we're gonna do with the DPW paint.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting. Second. All in favor to close, please raise your hand. It's 5-0 to close.
All right, thank you guys.